get started, I'm going to trust all of you good boys and girls to mute yourself. I know you know how to do that. But welcome to our monthly DMC call. It's good to see members of the Rotary coordinator team, several membership chairs, and we also have some guests in the house who've not joined us before. So thanks to all of you for being here. You're all welcome. All lovers of membership in Rotary are always welcome, and that's why we post the link in DACDB so that you can always get there. So glad to have you. We're making maybe a little bit of a shift this month in the sense that this will be mostly driven by those of you who have had some recent success or developed some important resources. And I want to share that with the entire group. We will have some time at the end for some general discussion, question and answer, sharing, all that kind of good stuff. But we're going to get started with what will be a little bit of a repeat for some of you who were on the Innovative Club Advocate call last week. But it was important enough to share this information twice. It is a little bit different show. Andy Van Hook, Assistant Rotary Coordinator, promises he never does the same show twice. So I'm going to turn it over to Andy, and he's going to share with us a really cool new resource.
Thanks, Patrick. I appreciate that. And if nothing else, all the pink shirts that I have are a different hue. So at least that part of the presentation will guaranteed to be different. So thanks for the opportunity to chat. So after hearing some different folks talk about successes that they were having with different innovative types of clubs, decided to reach out to some of them and do a short interview, video podcast style session. And so far I've done 5 of them. I got a couple of more in the wings. And the whole idea is I'm asking them some questions about how they started their innovative club, any challenges that they had from their parent club, any, what successes and tactics that they used to launch successfully. The whole idea was to give innovative club advocates, district membership chairs, anybody who cares about starting a new club, a resource of somebody who has done it successfully and can say, hey, these are things that we did to get the thing started. They're all between 15, 20, couple of minutes. So they're, easily digestible. The whole idea was to do them in kind of a video podcast form. I try not to talk too much and let the people who've done the success do most of the talking. I do have one I want to show you a little snippet of. You guys may know Tiffany Irvin from 7670. She started a passport club in her district and has some really good things to say about that, what she did. And we'll talk about that and the other videos afterwards. So hold on just a second and I'll share the screen.
So the unique thing about a passport club is it is unlike any other club in a district. This club does not have its own service projects or its own fundraisers or special events, and they typically don't even have programs as part of their meetings. The beauty of that is these folks are available to volunteer with any Rotary club in our district or beyond. It's almost like a no borders type of club, but it didn't start out as an e-club. Obviously right now, a lot of our clubs are e-clubs, but it didn't start out that way. It really, the intent was to have in-person meetings twice a month for networking and fellowship and social time, but to not create their own service projects, to not create their own fundraisers, but to encourage them to get out and volunteer in their own community with a club that perhaps they had been a member of before, or with a variety of clubs and opportunities.
Excellent. That sounds like a really unique way to do Rotary.
Sure, it came about because I had talked to so many people while I was district governor that I would say, hey, you used to be a really active member of such and such Rotary Club. why aren't you a member now? And I was always hearing the same responses. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. The traditional club format really isn't for me. And I would invite them to other clubs and they go, that's really not for me either. So I said, what if I could start a club that was specifically geared toward the things that you're telling me? And I had so many former members say that I would do. So that inspired me to start it. I wish I could take credit for the idea. I heard about it in another part of the country, did a little research, and then kind of tweaked it a little to make it our own. We actually decided we would print a hard copy of a passport and give it to all of the members who joined our club so they could physically take it with them when they went to a service project or when they visited another club. They could get a stamp or a sticker or just someone to sign it. It gave them something physical to show that really represents their Rotary Club.
That's cool. So that's a little snippet of kind of how the whole conversation goes. And so far I've done Tiffany with Passport Club. I've done Megan Shanker Fulcher, who started a successful satellite club. I talked to Marie Howard, who started a social justice club, and Tom Gump, who's done a veterans club, and Sue, I'm forgetting her last name, and she did an alternative meeting time. So the whole purpose is to tell that story from somebody's perspective who's actually done it, and hopefully it can inspire people to try something new. If they're thinking about starting a new club and not sure where to start, maybe this little primer can help give them some ideas.
Andy, I think it's a great resource. And if you want to be able to access these videos, I'm going to do a quick screen share. So this is our zone website, rizones33-34.org. You know, you've heard us talk about before about how great the search engine is. You can just type on innovative and go to the Innovative Club Advocates page. And right there, you'll see we have a video array set up with all 5 videos he just mentioned. We have additional information that's being that will soon be added there. But you can see any of these. You can tap into those. And I'm going to stop that share. And this might, you know, if you have someone who comes to you and says, wow, I want to do a satellite club, but I have no idea how to get started. Well, you can watch that video for 15 minutes with a very energetic Megan and be able to get some ideas on how to do that. So any questions that you all have for Andy on this fantastic new resource?
I am looking for other success stories. So if there are any out there, feel free to shoot me a chat today or an email, and happy to keep producing some of these so we have a good library of resource to use.
And Andy, go ahead, Billy.
I just have a question on the Passport Club. That sounds pretty fascinating to me. It would be a great opportunity to create a new club in our area. Do they meet once a month, twice a month? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure they meet twice a month, and I can, that video got uploaded to YouTube earlier today, so it's not quite on that page yet. I'm sure Terry will get to that when Terry gets to it. I think Terry's the one doing that. But yeah, I'll put that link in the chat box so you can watch the whole thing. But it's a really interesting story.
Right.
They meet twice a month, and they started off meeting in a gas station. So yeah.
The story of
That's
so
great.
many
Thank
Rotary
you.
clubs starting in a gas station.
Right.
Yeah.
Andy, thank you so much. I think this is going to, particularly as we become more aware of it and figure out how to harness these, they're essentially video podcasts. It's going to be a really good and useful resource for us. Next up is Jenny Coppett, who is the district membership chair in 7620. I think Jenny served last year as a co-membership chair and was really the person who administered the membership leads program so incredibly effectively. I mean, head and shoulders at the top of the class in our zone. And she has had a couple of clubs form here over the last several months. So I'm going to let her share that story or those stories with us. I tell you what, if you'd like, Jenny, we can go to the third speaker if you want to work on that a little bit. And
yeah, I don't know what happened. I've never had that happen.
okay.
So yes, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we will move on to our third speaker, who's Jonathan Lucas. Jonathan is the district membership chair in District 7610, and he's the immediate past district governor. So he's obviously a glutton for punishment. He took no time off. He's also an innovative club advocate. So he's a busy guy. But Jonathan, in I guess the last 2 to 3 weeks, had a new club get chartered he was involved with. So Jonathan, take it away.
A really great thing happened recently. And it really starts with connecting passion to purpose. What we found is in our district, we have a lot of people who join clubs, have things that they really want to do in Rotary, and they never really get the chance. And so one of the things that happened for us is this year we're really focused on starting cause-based clubs. And so the first one we started was the E-Club of Global Peace Builders. Few factoids from this was, first and foremost, we chartered on September 21 of 2020, which is actually International Peace Day. So that was done very, of course, purposefully. We wanted to connect the cause of that club on a global front and show people that this is a million different ways that this club can serve humanity through their work and their focus on peace. It was founded by former district governor Juanita Cawley. And just to give you a little bit of skeletons in the closet with her, she was a member of a club down in the eastern shore of Virginia, and an area where her club was shrinking, and she had all this energy, and she was really focused on. She actually made our district a peace initiative, peace district, and she's done a lot of work in the area, and she really wanted to do more work, and it just wasn't happening for her at the club level. And so she, essentially had all this energy she needed to do something with. And so she's like, why not start an E-Club focused on this? So it started, chartered with 20 members, and it's currently up to 24 members. 14 are new Rotarians, and 10 were current Rotarian transfers. So Rotarians from other clubs in our district who really liked the mission of this club and wanted to connect with that cause. So for me, it really comes down to Rotary is really akin to what I call what's considered the first law of thermodynamics, and that is energy is always conserved. It cannot be created or destroyed, and in essence, energy can be converted from one form to another. And what that really means is that Rotarians, if they don't have the opportunity to do what they're passionate about, be involved in projects that mean something to them, they're going to eventually find an outlet somewhere. That energy is going to have to go somewhere, right? It's not going to, or it's going to stay conserved long enough till they find an outlet for that energy. And so it's really important to us. We want to retain members and to grow Rotary, that we must understand where the energy is and find a use for it. So let me show you how that energy that Juanita had for this cause. Let me show you some of the outlets and how it's actually grown Rotary in our district. So in the center, you see the E-Club, right? Now they reached out and they connected with a club, E-Club out in California called E-Club of World Peace in District 5330. And that E-Club gave them sort of the platform they needed and understanding they needed to start their own club and charter, right? You see Duke UNC Rotary Peace Center. That's something Juanita and other members of our district have been heavily involved in for years. There's a connection there to their work, and it's very symbiotic. If you think about the peace centers around the globe and getting young people involved in scholarships and what have you. And then more closely related is, for instance, Falls Church Rotary Club. There are numerous members in that club who have been international humanitarian officers around the globe. And so while they may not leave the Falls Church Rotary Club to come join the E-Club, they're going to be involved in projects. They're going to sit in on those meetings and use their expertise to drive projects for our district that will involve a multitude of clubs. So that's very important. Then you see Alexandria West Rotary Club, which is my club, right? We've gotten involved because guess what? we're working locally. We've been working for the last year with an organization called Friends for Peace, based in our area. This organization provides on-the-ground training to young people on conflict resolution, peace building, all these great programs. We're going to do a peace park this year. We're going to have peace polls. We're going to do some online virtual conflict training with youth in our area. And so I was able to then connect that organization back to the E-Club. They have a great opportunity to have speakers now from this organization and to also connect on projects. So through that conversation, we landed on the idea with my club and another club in our district to form a Peace Rotaract Club, a community-based Rotaract Club. So again, those connections are being made, and I'm sure at some juncture that Peace Rotaract Club will then get connected back to the global E-Club and help them with their projects as well. And so it becomes this very symbiotic relationship among different entities within and without our district that grows Rotary. So I'll end just with this. Passion is energy. Feel the power that comes from focusing on what excites you. And that's a quote from Oprah Winfrey. Again, hang on that original point. If people want to do something amazing, let them do it. Give them that outlet. Give them that opportunity. And for us, creating this opportunity in this club has brought us 14 new members to the Rotary this past month. And it's allowed 10 Rotarians who might have considered not staying on board continue to be part of the Rotary family. So with that, I will stop my screen share. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Questions for Jonathan?
Can you give us some thoughts on some potential projects that might be useful for us to know about?
From that club? Well, they just started, but one of the things they're going to be working on in our Peace District, just having they're going to do some trainings with local high schools around the district. I'm sure they're going to get involved in some global initiatives as well. I don't have anything specific I can tell you there, but there's going to be all kinds of opportunities, especially through the virtual format, to connect with clubs all over the world and share stories. Share, I used to resettle refugees for a living, and there was always this opportunity to learn from one another, different cultures, and bring people closer together. And I can't think of a better time. The world needs that right now. So I think it's going to be a lot of communication, a lot of global projects, and a lot of projects involving multitude of clubs in our district. But
Is Peter involved with y'all?
Peter Kyle? Yeah, so Peter was actually fundamental in helping his club with its formation at the beginning. So he's definitely knows a lot about this club, and I'm sure will support it as it grows and develops projects.
I think you touched on something important there, Jonathan. Just as a passport club is essentially a resource to bolster service for other clubs, this peace-based club, this cause-based club has the ability to do the same thing for clubs that have an interest in that area that may not know how to get started or how to amplify their efforts.
Yeah, and another thing that came out of this as a derivative last week initially, we started a process of having a veterans-focused club, a hybrid club, both have virtual meetings and in-person meetings eventually. And that really came from seeing the excitement around the Peace Club and how successful that was so quickly. So, it gives a little encouragement to other clubs who want to, have these satellites with a cause-based focus.
Well, already I have heard mention of E-Club, a cause-based club around peace, a passport club, and a Rotaract club. That was not intentional on my part, but I think it does show where a lot of the growth is happening. You all know that I have another hat in the innovative club advocacy world, so excited to see those two merging. Any other questions for Jonathan? Well, Jonathan, thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for your work with them as well. Jenny, we are going to come back to you.
So it appears that I actually had this little humdinger up on my screen, but I just turned 50 and I need glasses and I was trying not to wear them. So many apologies. So I wanted to share a couple with you. The one club that we had going out the gate at the end of District Barton's year was the Washington Global Rotary Club. And you can find them at washingtonglobalrotary.org. They have an interesting website that they've put together. It doesn't look anything like your typical Rotary website. And so you can see here, it tells you who they are, and they consider themselves to be a very dynamic and friendly club. It is based on mostly women at 40% and under 40 years old. They are based in DC, but their membership is actually global in nature. They can attend the meetings in person or online. Right now, they're doing mostly online. And they are looking to be considered what they call a knowledge club. So being that they're coming out of DC, they have access to all these people that are major players in developing global policy and initiatives across the world. They're with the World Bank. And so they have an interesting speaker series, to say the least. And they approach things far different than a lot of clubs. So right here, you can see their program of online seminars, knowledge and experience sharing, and service above self. So one of the things that they pride themselves on doing is helping organizations develop projects, evaluate them, and implement them, because that's what these people do for a living professionally, and they do it at a very high level. It's almost like getting the assistance of the World Bank personally for your nonprofit. Like I said, you can visit their site to see some of their speakers, but they are all about promoting peace, fighting disease, the clean water and sanitation, the mothers and children, and supporting education and growing local economies. They're a really interesting group, because one of the things that I think is interesting about them is this. So last year, DG Barton takes everything very literally, or PDG Barton. And when he was told to form satellite clubs, that was what we were supposed to do. And that was originally my responsibility until he decided he wanted to focus on leads management. And that's the direction I went. So Barton was like, well, we still have to keep working on these satellite clubs. So I said to Quentin Woden, who was the co-chair of membership at the time, I said, why don't you just send an email to all your friends at the World Bank, that place is gigantic, and ask them if they want to be part of a Rotary Club? Like, that's how simple I made it. And Quentin was like, Jennifer, these are professionals. I can't imagine that they're going to have time for this. And I'm like, just do me a favor, send your people an email asking if they would like to be a part of Rotary, and tell them what we are about and how we are a global organization. This should fit right in. And he just kept coming back at me with, no, I don't think this is a good idea, or no, I don't think they'd be interested. So finally, Barton got involved and said, Quentin, basically, send the email. And I think even Quentin was shocked at the response from this organization, because many people felt like it knit perfectly in with what they do as professionals. And it gave them a way to give back to their communities and the world at large in a different avenue than what they already give of themselves day in and day out through their professional work. And so it's been thriving. We also were doing a digital marketing initiative at the time that kind of fell flat because of what was going on in the world. But out of that digital marketing initiative, 12 of the people that showed up for it ended up joining this global club. So the attraction for this kind of work is very, very evident. Additionally, there is another club in our district. It's called the Rotary Club of International Friendship. Again, a very unique website. You can see here If you have love in your heart for your fellow man, you know, they're quoting Paul Harris. The way this group defines how they meet is Paul Harris style, which means they rotate from different places to another. They don't have one concerted meeting place. They are doing a lot of things virtually right now, but when they go back to full force, meeting in person with a hybrid alternative as well, because they consider themselves a global Rotary club, they mix up the location. One day it might be at a banker's office, one day it might be at a lawyer's office, one day it might be at a restaurant owner's office. So they really pride themselves on that. Also, they consider themselves to be a community, not a club. So if you were to dig around on their website, interestingly, some of the things that they say is, we don't have committees and checklists. We don't compete for titles. We facilitate relationships around what we call campfires. And then they explain to you what a campfire was. And it's all about having campfires around, conversations around the campfire. And they go down here and they give you some sample conversation kindling even for your own club. Like, for example, the women of that club gather around for fica, the wonderful Swedish traditional of intentional connection over coffee and pastry. Some members are energized to contribute to the world's big issues, and they have a campfire for that. Paella, well, food in general, actually. Is there anything for bringing people together? And then they also use music and language and math and logic to bring people together in a wide variety of different communities. And it's been really interesting. And you can see one of their little philosophy statements down here is that human beings have not evolved as fast as their technologies. For millennia, humans have tended toward community formation for survival, kinship, family, friendship, learning, and belonging. And some of the oldest traditions in human history center around sharing fire, food, and story. So while we may not stoke actual flames, we embody the principles of gathering together in community simply and warmly. So their club is, they have the organization there, but they are very loosely knit in this way so that there's not ever necessarily an entire board that is replaced every year. Additionally, this the first club that I was telling you about, the Rotary Global Club, they are sponsoring a satellite club in a different community, and it's all around women and children's issues. It's predominantly made up of women. As far as I can tell, it's all women, and they like it that way because the members of this satellite come from different countries where women's roles are exceptionally minimized. And this is a group of empowerment for these women to be able to address social issues that have impacted them in their own countries that they were not allowed any input in resolving. So they feel very empowered. Speaking of passport clubs, an initiative that I've taken on this year was I'm trying to get each of the 12 areas in our district to form a passport club. Why? Because like somebody else said, when I'm talking to people about why are you leaving, and they tell me it's because they can't do a meeting or the dues are too much or they can't participate in helping to create this huge fundraiser or this huge service project. Well, you can be a part of a passport club, pay your Rotary dues, your district dues, maybe have your foundation dues added into that amount and a small percentage on top of it potentially, to help support some basic overhead, such as your website or your Facebook, whatever that kind of stuff costs a club. And now you're a second set of hands for any club in your area. So in Frederick, my area has 6 Rotary clubs in one county. We make up almost a third of the membership in the district. But we would have a role for a passport club. And this is where I'm hoping to capture anybody that is starting to have disillusionment about how they can participate in Rotary without all the requirements to help be a part of a committee for this or a committee for that. Because if the area puts up all their service projects, fundraisers, and other needs, this club can look at that and fill in the gaps and assist in those ways. And I think it's going to be wildly popular. And we've already got a couple that are on their way. And then additionally, like other people, we formed an e-club as well. So that's where some of our growth is coming from, is new clubs, new clubs, new clubs, and trying to shake it out and make it happen.
Thank you, Jenny. Worth noting that 7620 is definitely setting the pace in membership in our zone this year. Congrats on that, but thank you even more for sharing what's working for you. I get some pretty strong takeaways there that I think are on a consistent theme. You know, the passport allows people to plug in without some of the normal requirements being a Rotarian, and then I hear a club that says we're part of a community. You know, there are people who, particularly younger professionals, who don't want to be in a club, but they do want to plug into a cause. They want to be part of a community, and sometimes we get hung up on that club part of what we're talking about. So,
and if I could interject on that as well, the thing that I think districts need to be much more aware of is that people want to be a part of a community. They want to be a part of a family. They don't necessarily want to be a part of a club. And so while clubs are vital, and I'm not suggesting we change the name or formats for clubs, I think it's really important for us to be having these conversations with our members about being a part of a family, because that's what it's about. And I think maybe growing up being a military brat and a former military spouse, anywhere we went in the entire world, and I moved 24 times in 50 years, I had family. And this is what I'm trying to impart to our district, and I think it's starting to pay some dividends. So I really strongly encourage districts to look at it from that perspective as well.
Fabulous, Jenny. Thank you. Are there any questions among this group for Jenny?
Seriously, come on, guys.
You covered it so well, and you just told us you're a brat. So,
Yeah,
Stan.
let's hear it for the brats. I do have a general question. I'm also in the ICA box also, and a couple things have come up, and it relates to these, what I would say, free form clubs, which I think are great. How does that operate when you log into RI? Where do the emails go?
So
how does that work?
These clubs are chartered. They're chartered entities. Satellites are formally satellites. They go through all the paperwork. So they are in RI. All of these people have Rotary ID numbers. Right. So they get all of the same information that the rest of us do. And in our case, we use DACDB. So they're also in our CRM system.
Right. So, like I said, who gets the emails? I remember being a DG, and I really remember when it stopped.
Oh, you mean like leadership type email?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they do have to identify a president and a secretary, I believe it is.
Okay.
So, and ideally a club membership chair, although oftentimes, as you know, 30% of clubs never identify that person.
Yeah, we know.
So they do have a president.
Good. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you again, Jenny. And thank you for the lively conversation. Thanks to all three presenters. Lots to think about there in terms of where we're seeing growth, as well as the way Andy is spotlighting some of those club champions. I think this is all really important. We do have some time for some open discussion. This is, we've had sometimes a pretty lively discussion among all of you about what's working, maybe where you're having a challenge. These are your peeps here on this call. So this is an opportunity to celebrate something else going well, or to throw out a topic where you want to get some new ideas. So the floor is open. And if you don't take advantage, I'll call on one of you. So.
So I'm going to throw this out there. I think has been interesting is I need some sort of, I don't know about the rest of you guys as DMCs, but it seems like, we get these reports that we have, 124 members that have joined since July, and you don't have an idea who the vast majority of them are. So I feel a little adrift in that respect. And it probably goes back to being a military person who feels like I should know everybody that comes into the battalion. But at any rate, I started a Facebook group for those folks, a Honeymooners page. And it's just unique to them and me and the DG line and the AGs. That's it, nobody else. And it's going to be a 2-year cohort on developing them professionally in Rotary and also explaining to them how they can better utilize what they get out of Rotary in their personal and professional lives. And I think that is going to do a lot to help with engagement, right? Because they'll know me as kind of like their best buddy in Rotary. So it's an idea.
A question on that, Jennifer. You said you keep them there for 2 years?
They don't have to join it. When they join, I send an email to them with the link to the Facebook page with a little description about how this is going to roll. And we have monthly happy hours. So we can welcome the new people, and hopefully when we can meet in person, we'll do in-person ones, maybe every other month or something. But the thing that I see in our district, and it's not a criticism, so if anybody from 7620 is here, don't take it personally, but we need to do more in the area of cultivating relationships across the district. These 2,000, 2,200 people. And there's no reason why people who live in the same county don't even know what the heck is going on with the other club that's less than 25 miles from them. Additionally, what tends to happen with these global grants, from my personal opinion, where I sit, is you've got these clubs that are huge, right? And they very rarely ever think to reach out to that club that has 20 people to say, hey, listen, I know you probably only have $500 to give to this $50,000 global project, but would you like to be a part of it? Because we lose people at 3 years. And when you go back and ask them why, it's because we don't bother to ask them to play. And I'm really hoping that by grabbing these new members this year and forcing them to play in the same playground together, push each other's swings and make some pretty awesome sandcastles, that as they grow as Rotarians, they're going to say, my best friend Jonathan, I'm going to call him up and see if he can help me with whatever passport club that I'm struggling with. Or I'm going to call Stan because he's been a DG before. He'll know the answer. You know what I'm saying? And I really hope that that will strengthen those bonds and create stronger professionals, stronger Rotarians.
Good job.
Nice.
Excellent.
I have a question. You said you have a happy hour monthly. So I'm assuming, is that virtual?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It
and
is?
let me tell you that every time, I really thought that clubs might send me some feedback saying, butt out, lady, mind your own business. We got this covered. But I'm not interested in doing anything that would knock them off the track from their club onboarding. I'm trying to do district onboarding, because I don't know about you guys as DMCs, but it blows my mind when we get people to pets and they have no idea what PET stands for. They don't know what DG stands for. They don't know what PDG is. And here we are, we're throwing them to the wolves and we wonder why we've got problems. I've done 2 membership trainings with our district, and I take them to the web page and show them, screen share. They're like, what? Where's this been all my life? They don't even know about their own ability to get information. So I highly recommend it.
Yeah, what you're saying rings such true with me, because I can remember when Nancy and I were green, and I said there needed to be a book with acronyms in it. I had no clue what they were. But I'm wondering, in an area as big as yours, if you could do something like we do. I send something to all of the Area 11 clubs, and like we meet at a park and we clean the park up. We're social distancing, and yet we're getting to know each other. And you'll do like teams of 3, and that's been very successful in kind of growing the family type atmosphere to it. I just applaud you. I'm so impressed by what you've done.
Oh, why thanks. It's nothing creative, right? Facebook's been around long enough that they know my DNA anyway. But the other thing that I started was a district-wide Innovative Clubs Facebook page that might be really beneficial to your district.
Oh,
and that is open to every Rotarian in our district. And that's where I share things like when Patrick sends out that link for the upcoming RI training on how to connect with people in your community to make them interested in becoming prospects. That's where I put out information about, like today I posted something about, hey, does your club need to reconsider its alignment or its focus? Does it need help with whatever? And then I basically gave them step-by-step instructions about how they as an individual, you don't have to be an officer to do this, they as an individual can go to their My Rotary page, go to the member center, go find the club planning assistant and answer those questions. And they might be the one that goes to a board meeting and says, hey, listen, this is what I'm identifying. I just did this little exercise with my Rotary club planning assistant. What do you guys think? You know, that's the place that I'll put examples of club surveys. So that might be really fun for some of your membership freaks like me.
That's a great idea. And as a licensed optician, I'm going to suggest a progressive edition lens and in a silhouette frame that you can't see. That might help you.
Yeah, because when I put them on, they're all,
Yeah.
You just never know what kind of resources you're going to tap into on a DMC call.
That's right.
Well, it's 5:44. I'm going to have to hop off at 5:50, and I do have one topic that I'd like this group to weigh in. I know there's some others on this call who are going to need to hop off. When we reach that time, if you all would like to continue talking, I can transfer the host duties and you can keep going, and I'm happy for you to do that. But the question, the topic I wanted to talk a bit about is our zone newsletter, the membership newsletter. Now, I do some of the writing for that. There are others on this call who do. Andy does all our layout, that good stuff. At this point, it's only being distributed to zone and district leaders, you among them, those of you who are DMCs. I feel like we're missing an opportunity in terms of getting a little bit deeper penetration into our districts, but I'm also a little bit hesitant to just kind of bypass the governors. I know we have 1 or 2 governors on the call, and I've had trouble being able to link up to get a conversation with all of the governors because they are incredibly busy and they've got more meetings than they can shake a stick at now. In terms of those of you who are DMCs, how do you feel about that in terms of getting that distribution a little bit deeper across our zone? Does it make sense to do it coming from someone like me? Does it make sense to have an organized effort at the district level to push that into your district? What are your thoughts?
Patrick, I can tell you what we're doing in 7570. So we have a monthly newsletter that goes out, and for the past couple of issues, I've pulled some information that's been sent in that newsletter that you've been sending out to go out in our newsletter, giving you all credit, of course, that it comes from the zone. But I wouldn't say that we're doing all of that information, but we're definitely doing some of it. But I do think that there is a big opportunity for that newsletter to go to many more people. I think the more information we can get out there, the better. I would defer to Nancy. Obviously, it's her district, but I would definitely think getting that out to more people would be beneficial.
Thank you. Other thoughts?
I've been meaning to ask if we can copy and paste stuff in there. It would make my life a lot easier.
Oh, and look, I haven't written anything. I've stolen everything. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, but feel free. Yeah, use it. Use it with or without attribution. Frankly, I'm not worried about credit. If you see information that is going to be meaningful, grab it and go.
Yeah,
You know,
I've used it also.
Okay.
Patrick,
Out of every issue, I've used it
Yeah.
for the
Okay.
monthly district letter.
Was that Carol?
yes. One of the things I'd say from what I'm hearing is I think it would be better for us if we did grab things and use it instead of sending something else out. I'm not sure that people read all the stuff that we send them anyway. And so would it be better to incorporate some of the nuggets that we feel most applicable to our district rather than sending the whole thing in another publication out? Just a thought.
Well, and that kind of ties into one of my thoughts is I'm unknown, or I feel, because of a title after my name, I'm some guy from the zone who is an egghead I don't want to listen to anyway. And that the information coming from a more local source like a DMC or a governor might have better readership. So again, I'm not worried at all about attribution credit or anything like that. I want the message to get through, and that hopefully some people are inspired to action. So
I think there's an efficiency piece too. I'm sort of torn. I agree with what Carol is saying, but it's also, if it's already fait accompli and it's a great looking newsletter, tearing parts out of it, it's just an extra step in the process, versus getting it out to people. I know people are inundated. I mean, we all are, but having it there for them to choose whether to read it or not might be a good thing, because it's good information.
I think I've been sending it to you as an attachment, as a PDF that's attached, but it's also posted at the zone website where, it can be sent as a link or as an attachment. I would appreciate all of you continuing to give this some thought. You can jot me a 10-word message. We can talk about it some more next month. My main concern is that we continue to get information. We continue to keep membership in front of our members, because we know that it is the biggest challenge that we have in Rotary, and that everything else is driven by what we're doing in membership. Everything else gets better when membership prospers. Bob, did I see a hand go up?
Yeah, you probably already know this. We've had several communications over these several months, and our committee, which is now 3, are having 3 touches with our club membership directors, presidents, if they care to join that conversation. But we've been doing a 1-hour Zoom call once a month with an email communique that summarizes that for those who weren't there, a link to the recording. And then I purposely plan for my committee to meet with me the week after we have this meeting, because there's always something on this meeting that we want to work into the upcoming, say, 6 weeks. And the fact that you guys are available to us, I think we've scheduled you for like January the 21st to bring a message that would add a little extra oomph. And Terry always puts out something that our membership chairs want to know about. We've provided that information. In fact, this last one was so good about the Kodak moment. We actually put that in the newsletter that went to everybody.
Well, you should know Andy Van Hook, speaking of credit, that was his contribution on the Kodak story. So I thought it was great, and I delayed what I had written. I said, no, this needs to go. This is really good.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
We're plagiarizing with credits.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Again,
It was unattributed, so anybody can use it. So
yeah,
all for the greater good.
That's why you don't see a name signed on it. That's not what it's about.
I have a quick question about that. So are you saying the zone would send the members the newsletter, or we send it to our members?
That is one option that a zone person like me could send it to every member in the zone or every member in a district. We could do that. And I'm inquiring what is the most effective way to transmit that message. And,
well, I would rather you send it, because so that they don't necessarily start ignoring mine email.
I can't imagine how they would do that, Julie.
Because part of the reason that I started messing around with that Facebook page is because people are like, you know, I get too many emails, I get too many, and not even just from me, but.
Right. Yeah, we're all inundated, right? For sure. Okay, well,
Besides, you know me, Patrick, I don't even get the emails, so.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah.
We're working on it. We're working on it. I'm going to have to step out to facilitate a session with the DGs, E's, and N's. I'm going to see some of you there. But would you all like to continue chatting? I'm happy to leave this meeting open. Would anybody like to continue chatting? Everybody's had enough Zoom. I get it. I get it. Well,
I said what I had to say, so I don't have
And I
anything.
get to see you in 10 more minutes. So
that's right, Jack.
that's okay.
Same here.
Thank you all for your active participation. We really do
Great
want these
meeting.
meetings to be driven more by the group and not by this guy. So sharing our wins, our successes, our resources we're developing, our great ideas. I would much rather this be peer-to-peer. I learned a long time ago when we were doing this and when I'm standing in front of you, that there's much more wisdom in the room than at the front of the room. Okay, I know that clearly. And it's great to be able to share what's working and to share where there's troubles, and you got a peer group here that totally gets it and is here to help you. So we'll look forward to seeing you in a month. Of course, it'll be second Tuesday at 5 p.m. And again, thank you, and I wish you all very good health.
Good night.
Good night.